the hardest thing to do. But you gotta I was in LA, California.
I present the exciting journey of Cass Elliot, a story marked by an unforgettable legacy as well as tragedies. Known for her powerful voice and her fight against bullying and fat phobia, Cass Elliot was the soul of 60s rock lovers. As the sole voice behind the vocal group, the Mamas and the Papas, she remains an unforgettable figure. However, behind the glamour of the stage and the striking successes, the life of this music star was full of challenges and surprising twists. Initially dreaming of becoming an actress, Cass Elliot ended up becoming a hippie-era celebrity as a member of the group the Mamas and the Papas at the age of 24. Her unmistakable voice and her smile enchanted colleagues and fans, leaving an indelible mark on music, a mark that remains alive to this day, even after her tragic death in 1974. Born Helen Naomi Cohen on September 19, 1941, in Baltimore, Maryland, Cass Elliot had a childhood marked by music. Raised by opera-loving parents, she grew up in an environment filled with sounds and melody. All four of her grandparents were Russian Jewish immigrants, and her family faced significant financial challenges during her youth. Her father, involved in various business ventures, eventually found success developing a diner in Baltimore, which served meals to construction workers. Her mother was a trained nurse. Cass Elliot had a brother named Joseph and a younger sister, Leah, who also became a singer and musical artist. Cass Elliot's family lived in Alexandria, Virginia, during her childhood, before moving to Belmore when she was 15 years old. They briefly lived in Alexandria again during Cass Elliot's birth, and it was during her school years that she adopted the name Kay, possibly inspired by the actress B.G. Later, she added the surname Elliot to her identity in memory of a deceased friend while attending George Washington High School in Alexandria. Her passion for acting began to emerge, and Cass Elliot landed a small role in the play The Boyfriend, a summer production held at the Rio Top Theater. On her journey to become an actress, Cass Elliot left school before graduating and headed to New York, aiming to fulfill her dreams. This step is mentioned in the lyrics of the song Creek Alley. After dropping out of high school, Cass embarked on a journey of ups and downs that took her to unimaginable places. In 1962, she was part of the musical The Music Man, but lost the role of Miss Marston in Can Can to none other than Barbra Streisand. However, music was always present in her life. While working as a cloakroom attendant at the Showplace in Greenwich, Cass Elliot decided to pursue her musical destiny after moving to the Washington, D.C. area to study at American University. The American folk music scene was buzzing, and it was in this setting that she met musician and singer Tim Rose, along with singer John Brown. Together, they formed the group The Big Tree. Later, in 1963, James replaced Brown, and the trio was renamed Big Tree. Cass Elliot's first recording with Big Tree was the song Come Away Melinda, an anti-war lament written by Fred Hellerman and Frank Moff. In 1964, the group performed at an open mic night at the Bitter End in Greenwich Village, advertised as Cass Elliot and the Big Tree. Considered one of the most beautiful voices of the 60s flower power movement, Cass Elliot was an explicit example that in those years not everything was peace and love. If what happened to her had occurred today, she would be considered a victim of what is now called bullying. Cass Elliot always paid a high price for asserting her talent, being the target of tasteless jokes, as she did not fit the beauty standard of the time to be a pop rock star. In other words, she was fat. Cass Elliot and Tim Rose had musical differences and both had a strong will for things to be done their way. In other words, they were two strong geniuses. This creative tension led to the end of the band, especially after Cass Elliot and James Windrick secretly married. In 1963, Cass Elliot was involved in a dubious marriage with a partner, supposedly to avoid Hendrix's recruitment for the Vietnam War, a common practice at the time to avoid military service. The marriage was later annulled for lack of consummation. She and the group appeared on several national television programs, including Hootenanny in 1963 and The Tonight Show. Tim Rose left Big Tree in 1964, and Elliot and Hendrix teamed up with Canadians Zal Yanofsky and Danny Whitten to form the group The Mamas and the Papas. After the end of The Mamas and the Papas, Cass Elliot pursued a solo career for a while Danny joined the New Journeymen, a group that also included John Phillips and his wife Michelle. In 1965, she accepted the Canadians' invitation to join the JN Band, which she did not know. When introduced, he was totally against her participation in the quartet, calling her fat. Later, John Phillips himself commented on the matter, saying that she and Denny were friends, but she was madly in love with him. A popular legend about Elliot is that her vocal range improved by 3 notes after being hit on the head by a copper pipe while walking through a construction site behind the bar where the New Journeymen were playing in the Virgin Islands. Elliot confirmed the story in an interview in 1968, saying it is true and that her vocal ability increased after the incident. In 1965, Denny convinced Phillips that Elliot should join the group, which she did while the members were vacationing in the Virgin Islands. With 2 female members, the New Journeymen needed a new name for the band. The idea of naming the band The Mamas and the Papas came from Cass and Michelle, after both heard members of the Hells Angels refer to the gang's women as mamas. After many toasts, Elliot and John Phillips passed out. Denny further said that the occasion marked the beginning of his affair with Michelle Phillips and mentioned that, on one occasion, Elliot proposed to him, but he was so drugged that he could barely respond. Elliot was known for her sense of humor and optimism, being considered by many as the most charismatic member. Her powerful and distinctive voice played a crucial role in a series of the group's successes, including California Dreamin' and I Saw Her Again. The band's 4th album, which reached 15th place on the charts, included the song Dream a Little Dream of Me, credited as recorded by Cass Elliot, with the Mamas and the Papas being sung only by her. While the group projected Californian optimism and was one of the most successful bands in the world, internal stability was undermined by recriminations and competitions. For this reason, Cass Elliot left the group and sought a solo career. In her solo career, Cass Elliot had some setbacks, which is normal, but she soon recovered and became one of the most prominent faces in American media at that time. In October 1968, she made her solo live debut as the headliner at Caesar Palace in Las Vegas. To prepare, she underwent a strict 6-month diet, during which she lost 40 of her 136 kilograms. However, this extreme diet ended up causing health problems, including a stomach ulcer and throat problems, which she tried to treat by drinking milk and cream, resulting in a weight gain of 22 kilograms just before the debut. Before her debut, Cass Elliot was bedridden for 3 weeks due to her health condition. Backstage, she developed a high fever, and friends and staff suggested she cancel the show due to her health. However, she considered the performance extremely important and insisted on going ahead. During the first performance, she was visibly weakened, with a weak and almost inaudible voice. The crowd, despite the presence of celebrities, was not receptive, and at the end of the show, the singer returned to the stage to apologize to the audience and try to lift their spirits, promising that the performance would improve. She then sang "Dream a Little Dream of Me" before leaving the stage, while the audience applauded coldly. Cass Elliot returned later that night for a second show, but her voice was even worse, and many audience members left the venue noisily. The reviews of the performance were extremely negative. The magazine Square called the show "Cow with Cass" and described it as an epic disaster, while the Los Angeles Free Press classified it as an embarrassing bore, and Newsweek compared it to the Titanic sinking, saying it was like a great ocean liner embarking on an ill-fated maiden voyage. The show was ended after just one night, and the singer flew back to Los Angeles to undergo a medical procedure, which was reported as a tonsillectomy, the removal of the tonsils. Cass Elliot had a versatile career, which included appearances on television variety shows, talk shows, and even in movies. On television, she often played comedic roles on shows like The Andy Williams Show in 1969, The Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour in 1969, The Don Knotts Show in 1970, and also appeared on the Scooby-Doo cartoon in 1973. In movies, she debuted in the children's film Puffin' Stuff in 1970, where she played the witch Witchy Pooh. Cass Elliot managed to maintain a successful solo career, releasing 9 albums. She also duet with various singers in her career, such as the incredible duet with John Denver singing "Leaving on a Jet Plane," and also with Lulu and Dion singing "Sugar, Sugar" in 1973. She hired Alan Carr as her manager and put together a show called Don't Call Me Mama Anymore, which featured old standards and new songs written for her. The show premiered in Pittsburgh on February 9, 1973, and was a success. With her renewed confidence, Cass Elliot decided to take on Las Vegas once again and debuted at the Flamingo. This time, her performance received great reviews, and the Las Vegas Sun wrote, "Cass Elliot emphasized that she is no longer Mama, giving a good performance and making it clear that she is there to stay." The audience was with her all the way, with no empty seats anywhere. The singer then continued her performances in high-end casinos and elegant nightclubs in various cities across the United States. It was a period of rebirth and recognition for her. Cass Elliot's life was not always easy, and besides fat phobia, she faced other difficult episodes. Behind the fame, Elliot was married twice. Her first union was with James Hendricks, as we told earlier. The marriage was never consummated and was annulled in 1968. In 1971, Elliot married journalist Donald von Wehrman, heir to a Bavarian barony. However, this marriage also ended in divorce after just a few months. The singer gave birth to a daughter, Owen Vanessa Elliot, on April 26, 1967. The identity of her father was not publicly revealed until Elliot's death in 2008. Her paternity was discovered with the help of Michelle Phillips many years later. After Elliot's death, her younger sister, Leah, gained custody of Owen, who was only 7 years old at the time, and raised her along with her own son. In addition to these personal challenges, there were rumors that Elliot was using drugs in the weeks leading up to her Las Vegas show. She admitted to a boyfriend that she had injected heroin immediately before going on stage, which left her deeply ashamed of the disaster that followed. This situation led her into a deep depression. David Crosby, in his memoirs, stated that he and Elliot mainly used cocaine and heroin together, with a preference for using heroin in London due to its availability in the city. Another significant episode in Cass Elliot's life was a lawsuit in London in 1967. While in the city, she was sued for stealing bed linen from an apartment where she had stayed on a previous visit. She denied responsibility, but the case was taken to court, where the charges were dismissed for lack of evidence. This incident led the Mamas and the Papas to cancel their upcoming British shows, and the band eventually broke up the following year. On a later visit to London, Elliot publicly admitted that she had indeed taken 2 pillowcases, saying she liked them and ended up taking them, but kept silent due to the treatment she received in police custody. In 1974, after a season of great success, Elliot called Michelle Phillips, her former companion from the Mamas and the Papas, to tell her about the ovation she received every day. However, after hanging up the phone and going to sleep, she suffered a fatal heart attack. The apartment where Cass Elliot was found dead became a place with a somber aura, as in 1978, the band's drummer also died there due to an overdose of drugs. Besides the complexities of her life as a successful artist, Cass Elliot's death was marked by a curious and bizarre fact. Although the cause of her death was a heart attack while sleeping, a partially eaten ham sandwich was found next to her bed. Several tabloids erroneously reported that Cass Elliot had choked and suffocated to death because of the sandwich, even after the autopsy confirmed that the cause of death was unrelated to it. This false rumor was perpetuated by the sensationalist press and became a persistent legend, a malicious rumor that persists to this day, but is nothing more than a big lie, one of the many bullying incidents that the singer suffered because of her weight. Elliot's body was cremated at Hollywood Forever Cemetery in Los Angeles, California. Her ashes were later buried at Mount Sinai Memorial Park Cemetery, also in Los Angeles. Cass Elliot's life, also known as Mama Cass, was marked by musical talent, personal challenges, and turbulent moments on the road to fame. She was a powerful voice who stood out in an era of remarkable musicians, but also faced numerous difficulties along her journey, from discrimination because of her weight to marriages of convenience and other personal issues. Cass Elliot experienced highs and lows, and unfortunately, her life was cut short. However, her contribution to music and her captivating character continue to be remembered and appreciated by fans around the world. Cass Elliot left her mark on music history, and may we remember her and that her journey, the journey of an artist, is often as complex as her art. So, we end today's video. I hope you really enjoyed our episode today. Thank you so much for taking some of your time to be here with us. See you in the next video. Okay? Until next time.